VCU World News with a riveting news story on the serious mental health disorder schizophrenia. This is really a very interesting story. For those of you who don't know, schizophrenia is a chronic mental illness that affects a person's thoughts, perceptions, emotions, and behaviors. Some of the symptoms include delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thinking, emotional disturbances, social withdrawal, among other things. Schizophrenia is a complex condition with no single known cause. It's believed to involve a combination of genetic, environmental, and brain development factors. To give everyone some background, in 2019, there were 23.6 million people with schizophrenia, an increase of roughly 66% from 1990. However, only a 30% increase in population. This is very concerning, and we're going to keep our eyes on this topic. With that being said, we're going to send it over to our reporter in the field who has one of the possible explanations to why this increase is happening, Aiden Mars. Take it away, Aiden. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. This is Aiden Mars reporting live in the field. And thank you, Aiden, for the amazing background information. One of the plausible explanations that we've been looking into is the use of marijuana. Marijuana has only recently become subject to further studies into what exactly it does to the brain. Because of this, we are only now seeing some of this new information surface. The NIH, or National Institutes of Health, claim that there is now reasonable evidence from longitudinal studies that regular cannabis use predicts an increased risk of schizophrenia and of reporting psychotic symptoms. So clearly the problem is very real. The purpose of this story is to highlight some of this new information and spread awareness on the connections being found between marijuana smokers and schizophrenia. I'll hand it over to world-renowned scientist Dr. Mars to present some of his findings. Dr. Mars? Hey guys, thanks for your time. Me and my team have been doing a lot of research into this matter, and we have found a clear link between marijuana use and schizophrenia. One study shows that chronic marijuana use in adolescents could trigger schizophrenia development. This is because abnormal dopamine, glutamate, and serotonin levels neurotransmission significantly affects neuronal communication and alters brain function. Decreased dopamine activity in the prefrontal cortex, which involves executive functions, may trigger cognitive impairments. Conversely, excessive dopamine activity in the mesolimbic pathway, which is associated with the reward system, develops positive symptoms of schizophrenia. The present study showed the involvement of delta-9 THC, which is the primary psychoactive compound found in the cannabis plant, also known as marijuana, in the development of schizophrenia. It does this by affecting the endocannabinoid system in the brain, including various physiological processes like mood, cognition, and perception, which is also associated with dopamine signaling. Delta-9 THC affects cannabinoid receptor activity, alters neurotransmitter release like dopamine and other acids, and disrupts normal brain function. And this disruption in susceptible individuals may exacerbate schizophrenia. This is because Delta-9 THC affects the normal physiology of the endocannabinoid system. Delta-9 THC may bind to DRD5, which is a dopamine receptor, ERR-alpha, which is an estrogen receptor, and hyaluronidase, which is an important enzyme in the brain. Delta-9 THC could alter dopamine release and behavior, including GABAergic, a neurotransmitter in the brain and central nervous system, and glutamatergic synaptic transmission in the central nervous system. New developments highlight the importance of the synapse structural and molecular remodeling during development, aging, and in neurological disorders. Delta-9 THC could manipulate cannabinoid 1 and 2 receptor activities and cellular processes, which affect the immune system and parts of the brain. For those who might be thinking, people have been smoking marijuana heavily since the 60s. One important thing to note is that the potency of illicit cannabis plant material has consistently risen over time since 1995, from approximately 4% in 1995 to 12% in 2014. And as you can imagine, it's only gotten higher since. This percentage might not seem like a lot, but when we were talking about a psychedelic drug that directly affects the brain, it is a massive increase. I also urge people who may think marijuana might be bad, but Delta-8 is okay. It's legal to reconsider. Delta-8 THC is a psychoactive cannabinoid found in small amounts in the cannabis plant. It is an isomer of delta-9 THC, the main psychoactive compound found in marijuana. Many people now purchase these products instead of marijuana due to the legality and ease of attaining. However, there is little to no regulation on many of these products, and they can have very similar effects. One example, which I will warn will make some uncomfortable, was that of a 23-year-old male college student presented to the emergency department with vague abdominal pain with a tickling somatic sensation or delusion, decreased appetite, and anxiety. The patient admitted to using Delta-8 THC for the last 4 months that was purchased online, but no other substance use history. 4 months later, he presented again to the emergency department after a friend overheard him talking about ending his life. On admission, he was laughing uncontrollably, pacing, and stating, "I think Delta-8 has done something to my brain," despite stating that he had not used Delta-8 THC since his previous admission. He asked a nurse if someone could kill him to end all of this. He was admitted to the psychiatric ward, and after treatment with risperidone, olanzapine, and fluvoxamine, which are all medications used to treat schizophrenia, his condition stabilized. He was then discharged with fluoxetine and risperidone and was instructed to continue outpatient psychiatric counseling. He has since been readmitted on 2 more occasions for similar complaints, with increasing treatment-resistant depression and suicidal ideation similar to those seen with schizophrenia. This is just one sad and alarming example of the effects THC may have on some. In conclusion, are we saying that if you smoke marijuana you will develop schizophrenia? Absolutely not. However, there is clear indication that chronic smokers of the drug are susceptible to psychosis and, one step further, schizophrenia. It's extremely important to educate yourself on some of this data and do a little research of your own into your family's medical history before you decide to try marijuana. We would prefer you didn't try it at all, but if we can't get you to do that, do yourself a favor and take some proper precautions beforehand. Thank you for giving me the platform, Aiden. Superb information from Dr. Mars, but I expected nothing less from him. Thank you, Doctor. Back to you, Aiden. Wow. Thank you very much for that amazing story, Aiden. You know, it really is magnificent what modern science is discovering nowadays. It's important to mention that this research has been conducted on chronic smokers or those who consume some form of THC regularly. But for those of you watching who may indulge in a blunt, joint, or bong rip more often than you'd like to admit, maybe this would sway you into finding a new, healthier hobby. As someone who has seen this occur to a brother firsthand, who isn't and may never be the same again, this information is very eye-opening. This isn't some conspiracy theory. The data may be new, but it's there, and it is extremely alarming. To everyone watching around the world, this is Aiden Mars from ECU World News signing off. Don't do drugs.